Hi, everybody. I'm Tara Tarango, and welcome to our webinar today. I'm really excited that you were able to join us. I know it's different statuses all over the country. Some of you may have started back to school. Some of you may be gearing up and have a few more days left. But wherever you are, I hope it's going well for you, and thank you for joining us. I am the director of the Van Andel Institute for Education, and we love getting to practice things with kids and then share it with teachers. That's what we're all about. So today, I'm really excited to share something with you that I think will be immediately helpful for you, and have tons to cover, and I want to make sure you get out on time. So I'm going to hop right to it in talking about how we can transform K-12 leadership admin roles with ChatGPT specifically, and ways that it can save you time. All right. So I did want to let you know this will be recorded. So if you want to visit it later, or you want to share it with a friend, feel free to do that. It'll be coming to you by tomorrow, by Friday at the latest, but probably tomorrow. Also, all the sort of resources that I talk about or links that I mention, they are all in one handy handout document. So that is right there. There's a bit.ly there, and I believe Robin, who I'll introduce in just a second, is putting that in the chat box, or the whatever it is for you. Sometimes it's a chat, sometimes it's a discussion, whatever it is on your particular platform, but you can feel free to access that. And as I mentioned, Robin is here to help in the background to make sure you have all that you need and that you're getting your technical issues covered. So you want to say hi, Robin?
Hi, everybody. We're excited you're here today with us.
Excellent. So if you have any troubles along the way, feel free to reach out to her via your chat as well. And before I get started, I did want to mention that we are sponsored by Blue Apple Projects. So if you are a school or a principal or a curriculum developer or coordinator who has been thinking about how to really make project-based learning something that can be really widespread in your schools or across your district, I encourage you to check this out. They are Blue Apple projects. They are project-based learning units that really have a lot of the prep work done for the teacher to kind of give them an easier start into project-based learning, but also with plenty of adaptability so they can make it their own and take advantage of those teachable moments. So encourage you to check that out. And if you use the code webinar, you get a 10% discount on that. So our objective here today is to unlock a superpower for you that you may not have known you have access to. So, to really give you a tool that can, and I don't use that lightly, to really super enhance your ability to be effective and to do things in a timely manner. And I know I'm going to intentionally be a little bit Pollyanna here. There's plenty of reasons to be fearful of AI. I get that, whether you are kind of the Terminator ilk and feel like it's going to be, robots out to take over mankind, or whether you feel like it's really just taking away our ability to think, and we're going to have a lot of thoughtless students and adults walking around because AI is doing it for us. Or whether you think it can be used for some nefarious purposes, right? Humans can use it to, control what information we're getting. All those are valid concerns out there. Well, I don't know how much the Terminator is, at least right away, but maybe. But I'm purposefully kind of taking a little bit of a rose-colored glasses approach to this particular webinar, knowing that those are real and we do help schools navigate a lot of those pitfalls. But I figure if it is here, and it is, and it's not going anywhere, then we might as well use it for our own good. And how can we, as administrators or school administrators, use this to make our lives a little bit easier, regardless of what fears you might have of it? It is a game changer, that is for sure. So our agenda in unlocking the superpower, we'll talk a little bit about what is AI in general, and kind of go over a few of the types of tools that are available, but we'll spend most of our time really practically walking through how ChatGPT can help you. And I mean you personally in your job. So we will be talking about how ChatGPT can help your school. In fact, in October, we're going to have an event, and there's a link to that if you want to register for that. It's a free networking event where administrators from all over the country can share how they're using ChatGPT to help their school, how they're having to change things to make sure that students are using it appropriately. But I want you to kind of take the advice of our friendly flight attendants and put your own mask on first here and think about how can you use it to make better use of your time as a school administrator. And then, and of course that helps your school as well, but then we can look more at what it does for your school as well. So first, I really am curious to get a sense of who we have on the call. So we're going to launch this poll. If you'll take a couple seconds to tell me how familiar you are with AI tools such as ChatGPT. Maybe you've never heard of it. Maybe you've heard of it, but never really used it. Maybe you've dabbled in it a little bit. Maybe you use it periodically, or maybe you use it frequently. So take a couple more seconds here, and Robin will close that poll out for us and let us know how it turned out.
All right. So it looks like nobody has, 0% have never heard of it. So at the top, at 31%, we have heard of it but never used it and have dabbled in it a little bit. So those are at the top, followed by use it periodically at 21% and use it frequently at 18%.
Okay, very helpful. Well, I'm really glad about that because I was hoping to get people who have maybe dabbled in it a little bit or maybe use it a little bit. And I'm glad nobody's heard of it. You didn't sign up for something you have no idea of what we're talking about. That's always good. So I want to, with that in mind, let you know that if you are on this webinar at all, you are part of the early adopters. I would say we're still very early in this AI curve, right? We're in the early adopter phase. Folks who are really curious about technology, open to new ideas, are starting to explore it a little bit. That's you guys for being on this call. So we have a long way to go. A lot of these tools are very much in beta mode. You know, some of them are still working out a lot of the kinks, so it's kind of a fun time to get involved. So we'll start with, like I said, a little bit about what is AI, because I think it's interesting to kind of look back to history. And Alan Turing, who was, the famous mathematician of Enigma fame in sort of the 40s, and he actually is sort of a father of computer science. And he developed the Turing test, which, well before what we know as AI now, to say, how would we be able to tell if AI is successful? And it was a very simple test. It was just, if you're able to produce something from a machine and produce something from a human, and a person couldn't tell the difference, then that's successful AI. So most people think that tools like ChatGPT or Google's Bard, they're very similar, have passed this test. But I will put it to you guys to test to yourself, right? Let's look at the idea of a very simple prompt. So I gave the prompt, describe a pencil in 30 words or less, to a human and to AI. And here's two different descriptions. And one of these might be made from a human, one might be made from a computer, or maybe both are made from a computer. See if you can tell. We're not going to do a poll or anything. I just want you to kind of see what it does. So one described it as a cylinder-shaped writing tool that typically has yellow painted wood encasing graphite. One end is shaved to a point, and the other end usually contains an eraser. And here's another version, a cylindrical tool made of wood encasing a graphite core. Pencils are used for writing and drawing, leaving marks that vary in darkness based on pressure applied. So again, I'm not going to ask you to weigh in with a poll here, but would you say one of those for sure was human, developed, and one was for sure computer developed? What if I told you they both were? What if I told you they both weren't? Would you believe that? Would you bet money on it? My guess is you might have an inkling, a thought one way or the other, but really you wouldn't stake a whole lot of money on it, right? They seem like they're both different approaches because the prompt was very, very broad, but very plausibly, a good description of a pencil. So I think we have absolutely met that test. So if you look at types of AI tools, I wanted to point out a few that you might find helpful in your job. Certainly text generation. So here's several different tools for text generation. A sample prompt you might want to do for that is rewrite this speech, but make it funnier. So I had a friend who used ChatGPT to write his father of the bride speech and then have it write it again, but make it funnier. I mean, a very helpful tool. So a variety of different text generation tools. Full disclosure, I've used ChatGPT and Google's Bard quite a bit. I have not used the rest of these, but I wanted to put them out there for you to explore. In terms of graphic design, maybe you are, creating something and you'd love for it to look like a poster, and that's not a skill you have. These are awesome graphic design tools that have AI capabilities. Again, full disclosure, I have not used these, but I will be using Dropdeck very soon. I'm going to be trying that out so I can let you know how it goes if you're interested. But something like that, you can type and it literally designs it as you're typing it. So they say. I haven't used those yet. But what I have used a lot is the art ones. So let's say you want to create, something for a presentation such as this. For example, maybe you wanted to create an image of a school principal with a superhero cape in a pop art style, which is exactly what I did for that image that came up earlier. So that I used with Dolly, and I've used really most all these other platforms here as well. for the art creation. So really amazing to just put in a few words about what you want it to show and the style, and it'll pop out some art for you. It's really, really crazy. But for purposes of this webinar, I'm going to focus mainly on, pretty much exclusively on text generation, such as ChatGPT and Google Bard. And I want to share with you 3 ways that it can help you specifically to save time and increase your effectiveness. So those 3 ways are writing, collaboration, and data analysis. So those are the 3 ways I think that you can most use this in your job. And I was expecting that many of you have maybe just barely dabbled in it or have not even used it at all, which was the case. So I'm going to actually demo those for you to take some of that mystery out for you. All right, so I thought, what could I demo for K-12 administrators? So I tried to think of a task that is something we all have to do at some point and that we like doing, we don't mind doing, I should say, but it can also be very time consuming and tedious, and that is writing recommendation letters, whether that's for staff or for a student going into college, let's say. So I thought that would be a good example to show you something that takes some time. So I'm going to pop out of here and go right into a web browser. And so it looks like I already have it here, but it's just chat.openai.com. And that link is in your handout. If you haven't gone here before, this is where you go. And if you haven't already signed in, I'm already signed in, but it'll pop up. It'll say sign in or sign up. And if you haven't signed up before, you sign up. And it's very simple sign up, very, very quick. And then from then on, you have a password and it'll take you right to it. So this is what it looks like. And if I wanted to have some help writing a recommendation letter, you can see down this box, it says send a message, which isn't quite intuitive to me at first when I started using that. So that's where you want to write. And I could say something like, I am a high school principal. I can't type. And I need to write a recommendation letter for, I'm going to do it for our friend in the background here, Robin Dasselier. And then you have to give it some information. So let's say I want to focus on how she is curious, adaptable, and dependable. She is applying for college. Let's just say that. Simple prompt. I want to show you how in seconds, literally seconds, this is what it does. If you haven't seen this before, I wanted you to kind of see it live time. Now, it's only as good as the writing is actually good, right? So let's see what the heck it has said. We won't read this whole thing. I don't get too scared, but I'm writing this letter to in enthusiastic support of Robin Dasselier, a remarkable young individual who has consistently demonstrated exceptional qualities during her time at your school name. As the high school principal, I have had the privilege of witnessing Robin's growth and development, and I am confident in her ability to excel at the collegiate level. And then it goes on to talk about curiosity here. I'm seeing this live time just as you are, and all of her pursuits. You can see then it goes on to adaptability. So it writes really well. But let's say, I don't have time for this. I can say, this is why it's called ChatGPT and to send a message. It's because it's sort of interactive. You can say, this is great, but a little long. Can you reduce it by half? Bam. And in seconds, here we get another version, much shorter, but still well written. Highly recommend Robin, a standout student at your school for admission to your college, blah, 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 blah. So hopefully, if you have never seen it before, I wanted you to see the power of how quick it is, how you can do something that is something you probably have to do, but takes time. And I will tell you this, if you are someone who hates writing, you can automatically see this as a godsend. If you're someone who actually likes writing, I actually really like writing. It's something I've always really not minded at all, love to do. In fact, it's kind of a gut punch, to be honest, because you look at it and you're like, that's actually better than I might have done myself. And so there's a little bit of an eco check there. And obviously it's so much quicker. So I wanted to show you that demonstration, but maybe you don't have to write, a recommendation letter. So I want to give you other prompts that you might be able to use as a principal or as an administrator, how ChatGPT can help you with writing. So here's another one, and this is admittedly a little bit hokey. So if you're not kind of on the hokey side, this may not be the prompt for you, but if you are, feel free to take this. So I wrote into ChatGPT, can you write 9 short inspirational messages for teachers, one for each month, September through May? Each one should be no more than 100 words, but should highlight how much I value their hard work and dedication and all they do for students. They should be creative and innovative and make the teachers smile. So the more description you put into your prompt, obviously the closer, the final product is going to be. But I wanted to show you with that kind of a prompt, what it spit out. Here's a look at September through May, boomed in 10 seconds. So I'll just share with you some of my favorites. Here's October. Like the changing leaves, you transform lives with your passion and care. Your dedication and creativity inspire young hearts to dream big. You are the pumpkin spice that makes our community warm and welcoming. So again, I gave you the warning, it's very hokey, but I happen to really love that stuff. That happens to match my personality, so it works. If that doesn't match your personality, you put in the prompt what you want. You can say you want it to be snarky. You can say you can want it to be whatever would fit you, and it will help give you those. For sake of time, I'm just gonna march right on through these, but just you can see that it really did give some creative ideas that make you smile. And that was the prompt I asked it for. So just giving you a few more ideas for writing. Maybe you have an invitation to an open house or something, so a community invitation. You could just type in just sort of regular speech language what you want, and it'll put out a nice draft for you. I should say this, it gives what I say is like a really good first draft. I mean, you're rarely going to be able to take exactly what it has and boom, just copy and paste it and be done. But it will give you something really, really strong to work with. And again, you can do it sort of iteratively, tell it to change certain things and go back and forth that way. But a really strong first draft. Classroom observation report. Let's say you can just take your notes, copy them right in there and say, write this up as a report. Boom, it's going to make that really nice and polished for you. It could help you create policy documents, grant proposals, writing a parent letter. So, and I put more ideas in the handout. I try to give you 10 for each of these categories of ways that you could use ChatGPT for things that I know you're probably already doing at some point this school year to make it go a little bit faster. So the next area after writing I want to talk about is collaboration. So being an educator in general and specifically an administrator can be a very isolating job. There's often nobody else who has your same role. And so having someone to bounce ideas off of that knows, your content or knows your, area of expertise can be really, really helpful. And AI does. So here are some sample prompts that you might want to use ChatGPT for help and collaboration with. The first few are just kind of open-ended ones, maybe something like, what's a creative way for me to welcome my students this year? Or how can I show my teachers the value of formative assessment? Or what are some theme ideas for an upcoming open house? Or another way you might want to collaborate is to have the AI tool respond to existing text. So you can give it something and say, this letter is too long, can you reduce it by half? Like I just showed you. You could say, how could I make this newsletter more interesting? So give it something you already have. Or review my discipline policy and let me know how it can be improved. And you just paste your discipline policy right in there and it'll give you some ideas. So I want to demonstrate this one as well, and we'll do something I call, more ideas in the handout. Be sure and check that out. Choose your own demo. So we're going to do another poll real quick, and which of these questions would you like to see what ChatGPT has to offer you in the way of collaboration? I mentioned some of these. What's a creative way for me to welcome my students? How can I recruit the best teachers? How can I show teachers the value of formative assessment? What are some theme ideas for an upcoming open house? And how can I motivate my staff? So pick just one. Or you guys can pick as many as you want, but we'll see which one wins out and I'll demo that for you and we'll see what ChatGPT has to say. So Robin, how's it coming?
Still coming in. Let's give it 5 more seconds.
All right.
All right. The winner is, how can I motivate my staff?
All right. How can I motivate my staff? Okay, so I am going to come back here and go out into choose your own demo mode. We're going to minimize this and I've got them pasted over here. So how can I motivate my staff? I'm gonna come right back over and you can see, we can just go right where we left off. Also, any chats that you've done in the past are over here on the left. So you can always access those as well. I'm gonna paste that in. How can motivate, I'm gonna go ahead and tell it who I am again, just in case you can't remember. I am an elementary school principal. How can I motivate my, let's say, teaching staff, just to make it a little bit better? Okay, typos, it doesn't matter. It'll know what I'm talking about. All right, let's see what it has to say. We won't go through all these, but I wanted to see how it can really, give you some ideas to get you thinking. So recognize and appreciate, acknowledge and appreciate your teacher's hard work and dedication regularly. We could use the prompts that I just used for that. Setting clear goals. Again, it's nothing that maybe is earth-shattering, but maybe there's ideas you hadn't thought about before. Looking at professional development, empowerment and autonomy. Allow teachers to have a say in decisions related to their classrooms and teaching methods. When teachers feel empowered and trusted, they are more likely to be motivated to take ownership of their work. Again, maybe something you didn't know, but these could be good reminders. The fact is that if it does know what you already know, that's actually a pretty good sign of what it can do for you as well. Show interest in personal growth, regular feedback. And just like we showed before, if you wanted to dive further on one of these, you can say, I liked this idea. Can you tell me more about how I would do that? Peer collaboration. So hopefully you get some ideas here. Staff wellness program, lead by example. And if you didn't like that, you could also just say regenerate. And it'll give you another set of ideas. Again, in seconds. So as a collaboration tool, when you just have questions like that, it's a good way to just bounce it off, quote unquote, somebody. It's still going. I find it often gives you more than you want. So I use that, this is great, reduce it by half prompt a lot. So maybe you'll find that helpful as well. All right. So that's a little bit about how you can use it for collaboration. And again, check your handout for more collaboration ideas. But once you get using it, you will find many more ways that it works for you. So the final way that I think you can use it is data analysis. So for this one, I'm not going to demo, but I'm going to share with you how I recently used it for data analysis in my world, and maybe you have something similar. It'll kind of spark an idea for you. So this is the prompt I gave it, which happens to be true. We just put on a conference for our teachers, and the participants completed a survey. Can you help me analyze the results? And then I pasted in all of this, which is just from Excel. It's probably, if you've done any kind of survey results, this looks familiar. I just literally pasted all that right into ChatGPT, and it gave me something like this. Thanks for providing the survey data, and it gave me kind of a question by question analysis. What's your role? What percent were teachers and what percent were administrators, etc. To which I said, I don't want to read all that. Can you write a short 1-paragraph summary of that analysis? And I want to read this to you, because if you put yourself in my shoes, having just put on this conference, what do I need to know from this survey? This really, in just seconds, gave me exactly what I needed to know. The majority of participants were teachers, 87.9%, with a smaller portion being administrators, gave the percent. Most common grade level taught, gave me that. Overall, the conference received positive feedback, with 54.5% rating it as excellent and 33.3% as above average. The key takeaways included the value of creativity, inquiry-based teaching, and collaboration, as well as the importance of incorporating STEM perspectives and empowering girls in STEM fields. Participants also enjoyed the keynote speakers, networking opportunities, and hands-on activities. Some suggested improvements included more session choices, better room arrangements, and providing more accessible resources. Despite the minor suggestions for improvement, an overwhelming 97% of participants would recommend this conference to a friend. So again, I'm making this a little bit selfish, but putting yourself in my shoes, this is exactly what I needed to know. It wasn't so vague that it wasn't helpful. It was specific information on what they liked, but also what could be improved. But also I really got a sense for how the participants felt about the conference without having to read all of that data. So think about what data do you have coming at you that you don't have time to sift through, that you could ask ChatGPT to do it for you. Some ideas that we thought of here: student performance analysis, attendance monitoring, allocating resources, scheduling, some predictive analysis on enrollment. You could put in what your enrollment has been and ask it to predict. So those are just a few ideas. Again, more ideas in the handout. Anytime you have data that you need to sift through and find an analysis for, you can put that right in there and ask it to give you a 1-paragraph summary, and it does a really good job of that. All right, so how am I doing on time? I'm going to skip this really quick, but I just want you to take a moment to think to yourself which of these you might find useful, whether it's writing, collaboration, data analysis, or something else. There's tons of things. I have a friend who put in, here's the ingredients I have on hand, and it will give you ideas for recipes you could make that night. I mean, it really is only limited by your own creativity, but just so think for a minute, reflect on how you might want to use this for yourself. But I do want to let you know, obviously, this is a great tool, but there's a lot of, caveats that can go with it. Also, a lot of hand holding that might be needed. But you can imagine if it's this helpful for you, how helpful it can be for teachers as well. And we are here to help with that. So if this is something that you feel like your teachers could benefit from, to learn how they could use ChatGPT to save their self time, you can imagine it can, you can have it watch a video and create quiz questions from it. You can have it create your lesson plans or differentiate your lesson plans for different needs. All sorts of things that can be very helpful time savers for teachers. One of my favorites is you can give it the rubric and it can grade essays for you against that rubric and give really helpful feedback. So we have tons of ideas for teachers, not only how it can save them time, but also how they need to change their instruction and the way they operate their classroom maybe, so that they are helping students use ChatGPT and other AI tools for good and not, and with integrity and not just for cheating. So we can change our assignments to make sure that doesn't happen. Anyway, I wanted to let you know we are here to help, whether it's sessions like this, a little bit more interactive, whether it's consulting to make this a reality in your schools, or coaching really kind of side by side along the way. So here to help if you want to bring this to your teachers. Want to let you know of a few things coming up. Our next webinar in September is on student engagement for teachers, so feel free to share that with them. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we also have an event for administrators coming up in October, on October 5th. And it's really for administrators to share with one another, how do we navigate AI in our schools? How do we unlock its potential, but also how do we make sure we're doing that safely? So I'd encourage you to join us for that as well. And I just want to say thank you for coming. I know it's a really busy time. If you are interested in, us helping your teachers with this new world of AI, you can let me know that a couple ways. You can email me. There's my email address. Or when we close this out, you will get a survey. Would love you to fill that out and give us some feedback on whether this was helpful to you, but also it'll have a question on there if you'd like us to contact you about doing this with your teachers. So we would love to help out in any way we can. And thank you so much. I wish you a fantastic school year, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.